The gates close behind you. The crowd thins. The sun drops low, painting shadows across empty pathways. And somewhere, in the quiet corners where the public never goes, a woman walks alone toward a predator. She knows its name. She knows its eyes. She has fed it, cleaned its space, whispered to it through steel bars. But today, something is different. Today, the air feels heavy. Today, the tiger does not turn away. In less than 60 seconds, everything she built, everything she loved, everything she believed about trust and respect between human and beast will be shattered. And the screams that follow will echo far beyond the walls of that zoo. This is not a story about a random attack. This is a story about a woman who gave her life to animals, and the one moment when that life was taken away. Stacey Konwiser loved animals the way some people love music or art or God. It was not a hobby. It was not a career choice made lightly over coffee and college brochures. It was a calling that lived deep in her bones, something she felt long before she understood what it meant. As a child, she would sit for hours watching nature documentaries, her eyes wide, her breath held as lions stalked across golden plains and elephants mourned their dead. While other kids played with dolls and toy cars, Stacey sketched wolves in the margins of her notebooks and begged her parents to take her to every zoo within driving distance. She did not just want to see animals. She wanted to know them, to understand them, to speak their language. When she grew older, that dream did not fade like childhood fantasies often do. It sharpened. It became a mission. Stacey pursued a degree in animal sciences, spending late nights buried in textbooks about behavioral psychology, predator instincts, and conservation efforts. She volunteered at shelters, rescued injured birds, fostered abandoned kittens. Her friends would joke that she cared more about animals than people, and maybe they were right. But it was not cruelty that drove her. It was empathy. She saw the world through their eyes, felt their fear, their hunger, their need to be understood. And when she finally landed a job at the Palm Beach Zoo in Florida, it felt like everything in her life had led to that moment. She was home. Stacey was not just good at her job, she was exceptional. Colleagues described her as fearless but not reckless, confident but never careless. She had a way with the big cats that made even the most seasoned zookeepers pause and take notes. She moved with calm authority, her voice steady and soothing, her body language deliberate. She understood that respect, not dominance, was the key to working with predators. You did not control a tiger. You earned its tolerance. You read its moods, its posture, its eyes. And Stacey read them better than most. She had worked with lions, leopards, and jaguars, but it was the tigers that captivated her most. Their power, their grace, the way they could be utterly still one moment and explosive the next. She loved them with a kind of reverence that bordered on worship. Her husband, Jeremy, understood. He had to. Stacey came home exhausted most nights, her clothes smelling of hay and raw meat, her hands scratched and calloused, but her eyes were always bright. She would talk about the animals like they were family. She would worry about them, celebrate their small victories, mourn their losses. Jeremy knew that when he married Stacey, he was also marrying her passion, her purpose, her unshakable belief that the work she did mattered. And he supported her, even when she came home with bruises, even when she admitted that the job was dangerous, even when he felt that quiet, gnawing fear in his chest every time she walked out the door, because he knew that asking her to stop would be like asking her to stop breathing. But fear, no matter how quiet, has a way of becoming loud when it is proven right. The Malayan tiger is not the largest of its kind, but do not let that fool you. These predators are built for efficiency. Males can weigh up to 300 pounds, their bodies pure muscle wrapped in burnt orange fur striped with black. Their jaws can crush bone. Their claws can tear through flesh like wet paper. They are solitary hunters, patient and calculating, capable of stalking prey for hours before striking with terrifying speed. In the wild, they roam the dense rainforests of Southeast Asia, ghosts among the trees, silent until the moment they choose not to be. And in captivity, even with all the training, all the precautions, all the carefully constructed barriers between human and beast, they remain what they have always been. Apex predators. Hati was a Malayan tiger, a male, young and strong, brought to the Palm Beach Zoo as part of a conservation breeding program. His name meant heart in Malay, a name meant to symbolize hope, connection, life. But names do not change nature. Hati was beautiful, yes. Visitors would stand at the glass and marvel at his size, his movement, the way sunlight caught his fur. Children would press their faces close and squeal with delight. But behind that glass, behind the moats and the gates and the carefully designed enclosures, Hati was still wild. He had never hunted in a jungle. He had never known true freedom. But the instincts were there, buried deep, waiting. Zookeepers who worked with Hati described him as unpredictable, not aggressive necessarily, but not docile either. He had his moods. Some days he was curious, playful even, batting at enrichment toys and responding to commands. Other days he was distant, his eyes cold, his body tense. He would pace along the perimeter of his enclosure, back and forth, a rhythm that felt almost hypnotic. And sometimes, just sometimes, he would stop and stare, not at the crowd, not at the sky, but at the people who came into his space, the ones who fed him, the ones who cleaned, the ones who believed they understood him. There had been warnings, not about Hati specifically, but about the danger inherent in working with big cats. Training sessions emphasized protocol. Never turn your back, never assume trust, never let your guard down even for a second, because tigers do not give second chances. One wrong move, one moment of distraction, and instinct takes over. And when a tiger strikes, it does not hesitate. It does not reconsider. It simply acts. But Stacey was experienced. She had been trained. She had worked with tigers before, and maybe, just maybe, that experience made her feel a little too safe. April 15th, 2016, a Friday. The sky was clear, the weather warm, the kind of perfect Florida afternoon that made tourists flock to outdoor attractions. The Palm Beach Zoo was buzzing with families, school groups, couples on dates. Children laughed, parents took photos. Somewhere in the distance, a peacock screamed. It was a normal day, routine, unremarkable, until it was not. Stacey arrived for her shift that afternoon like she had 1,000 times before. She greeted coworkers, checked schedules, reviewed notes on the animals in her care. Everything was standard, everything was fine. Around closing time, as the public filtered out and the zoo grew quieter, Stacey made her way to the tiger enclosure. It was time to bring Hati in for the night, a routine task she had done countless times. The protocol was clear. Check the holding area. Ensure the tiger is secured. Enter the night house only when it is safe. But something went wrong. Witnesses, other staff members heard the screams first. High-pitched, frantic, desperate. The kind of sound that makes your blood go cold. They ran toward the tiger habitat, their hearts pounding, their minds racing. What they found was a nightmare. Stacey was inside the night house, the indoor section of the enclosure where tigers are kept overnight, and Hati was on top of her, his jaws clamped around her neck, her body limp beneath his weight, blood spreading across the concrete floor in dark, terrible pools. Time fractured. Seconds felt like hours. One keeper immediately radioed for help, their voice shaking so badly they could barely form words. Another grabbed a fire extinguisher. Anything to create noise, to distract the tiger, to make him let go. They banged on the gates. They screamed. They did everything they could from outside the enclosure, because going in would mean certain death for them too. And Hati did not move. He held her there, his instincts locked in, his body doing what nature had designed it to do. Finally, zoo protocol kicked in. Someone made the call. Hati had to be sedated. A dart was loaded, aimed, fired. The tranquilizer hit. But sedation is not instant. It takes time. Agonizing, crawling, unbearable time. And all the while Stacey lay there, her life draining away, her body growing colder. When Hati finally released his grip and stumbled back, dazed and confused, the staff rushed in. They pulled Stacey out. They began CPR. They begged her to breathe, to fight, to come back. But it was already too late. Paramedics arrived within minutes, their sirens wailing through the quiet streets surrounding the zoo. They worked frantically, pumping her chest, checking vitals, doing everything in their power to restart her heart. But the damage was catastrophic. The bite had severed major arteries. The blood loss was too severe. Stacey Konwiser was pronounced dead shortly after arrival at the hospital. She was 38 years old. The 911 call came in at 4:07 p.m. The dispatcher's voice was calm, professional, but the panic on the other end was unmistakable. "We have a zookeeper down. She's been attacked by a tiger. We need ambulances now. Now!" Palm Beach County Fire Rescue responded immediately, their trucks roaring through traffic, lights flashing, radios crackling with urgent updates. Police arrived next, securing the area, keeping bystanders away, trying to piece together what had happened. And inside the zoo, chaos reigned. Co-workers were in shock, some were crying, others stood frozen, unable to process what they had just witnessed. This was not supposed to happen, not here, not to Stacey. She was one of the best, she was careful, she followed every rule. How could this have gone so wrong? Investigators would spend weeks trying to answer that question. They reviewed security footage, they interviewed staff, they examined the enclosure, the gates, the locks. They checked protocols, training records, maintenance logs. And slowly a picture began to form. It appeared that Stacey had entered the night house while Hati was still inside. Whether it was a miscommunication, a mechanical failure, or a tragic error in judgment, no one could say for certain. But the result was the same. She was in an enclosed space with a 300-pound predator, and there was no escape, no backup, no time to react. Hati had not attacked out of malice, he had not been abused or provoked. He had simply done what tigers do when they are in close quarters with prey. He had acted on instinct. The zoo issued a statement expressing deep sorrow and promising a full investigation. They emphasized that Stacey was a beloved member of their team, a dedicated professional, and that her death was a devastating loss. But words felt hollow. Sympathy felt empty, because at the end of the day a woman was dead and a tiger was locked in a cage, and no explanation could change that. The media descended like vultures. News vans lined the streets outside the zoo. Reporters camped out, microphones ready, cameras rolling. Headlines screamed across newspapers and websites. Zookeeper killed by tiger. Tragic attack at Palm Beach Zoo. Woman mauled to death in horrific incident. The story went viral. People shared it on social media, debated it in comment sections, dissected every detail with morbid curiosity. Some blamed the zoo for negligence. Others blamed Stacey for carelessness. And some blamed Hati, calling for him to be euthanized, as if punishing an animal for following its nature could somehow restore balance to the universe. But those who knew Stacey were heartbroken in a way that had nothing to do with blame. Her husband, Jeremy, was shattered. He released a brief statement asking for privacy, his words choked with grief. He described Stacey as his best friend, his soulmate, the person who made every day brighter. He said she died doing what she loved, surrounded by the animals she had dedicated her life to protecting. And while that might have brought some small comfort, it did not ease the pain. It did not fill the empty space she left behind. Her colleagues struggled to return to work. Every time they walked past the tiger enclosure, they saw her. They heard her voice. They remembered her laughter, her passion, her unshakable belief that the work they did mattered. And they wondered if it was worth it, if saving endangered species, if educating the public, if preserving wildlife justified the risk. Some quit. Others stayed, but carried the weight of her death with them every single day. The zoo conducted a thorough internal review. Changes were made. New safety protocols were implemented. Additional training was required. Locks were upgraded. Communication systems were improved. But no amount of policy revision could bring Stacey back. And no amount of precaution could erase the fundamental truth that working with wild animals is, and always will be, dangerous. As for Hati, he was not euthanized. The decision sparked outrage among some, who believed justice demanded his death. But others, including Stacey's own family, argued that killing the tiger would betray everything she stood for. Hati had not acted with cruelty. He had acted with instinct, and punishing him for that would be a failure to understand the very thing Stacey had spent her life trying to teach: that animals are not villains. They are not monsters. They are simply animals, doing what animals do. And if we choose to work with them, we accept the risk. Hati was moved to a different facility, away from public view, where he would live out the rest of his days in quiet isolation. And in some strange, tragic way, both he and Stacey became prisoners of that one terrible moment. One lost her life, the other lost his purpose. There is a question that lingers long after the headlines fade and the investigations close. Why do people like Stacey Konwiser dedicate their lives to animals that could kill them in an instant? Why walk into danger every single day, knowing that one mistake, one miscalculation, one stroke of bad luck could be the last? The answer is not simple. It is not logical. It is not something that can be explained to someone who has never felt it. But for those who do, the answer is everything. Stacey believed that animals deserved respect, protection, and compassion. She believed that conservation mattered, that education mattered, that the bond between humans and wildlife, fragile as it was, mattered. She knew the risks. She accepted them. And she chose every single day to walk through those gates and do the work that most people could never imagine doing. Not because she was reckless, not because she underestimated the danger, but because she believed it was worth it. Her death is a tragedy, a brutal, heartbreaking reminder that nature does not care about good intentions. That wild animals, no matter how much we study them, train with them, care for them, will always carry the unpredictability of the wild. And that sometimes, even the best, even the most experienced, even the most careful, can be taken in an instant. But her life was not defined by the way it ended. It was defined by the way she lived, by the passion she poured into every moment, by the animals she saved, by the people she inspired, by the love she gave so freely to creatures that could never love her back. And maybe that is the real lesson here, that some things are worth the risk, that some callings are so powerful, so undeniable, that we follow them even when they lead us into danger. Because a life lived without purpose is no life at all. Stacey Konwiser died doing what she loved. And while that does not make it fair, while that does not make it easier, while that does not bring her back, it does mean something. It means her life had meaning. It means her work mattered. And it means that somewhere, in a jungle she never got to visit, in a forest she never got to walk through, in the heart of every tiger still fighting to survive, her legacy lives on. The gates closed that day, but the work continues. The fight continues. And in the quiet moments when the crowds are gone and the sun sets low, the keepers who remain still whisper her name, still remember her smile, still carry forward the torch she lit. Because that is what you do when someone dies doing what they loved. You honor them, you remember them, and you keep going, even when it hurts, even when it is hard, even when the tigers are watching.